So why it kind of sucks to be in your 20s right now in this day and age is because it's working. The nuclear family is successfully being destroyed. Hi. Not gonna lie, the research I found for this video was staggering. I really just wasn't prepared for it. And that being said, I have so much to show you. So let's start at the beginning. What is the nuclear family? In short, the nuclear family is two married parents with one or more children. This is different from a joint family that consists of various generations, grandparents, parents, and children. There can be cousins, uncles, and aunts too. Here, all these relatives stayed under one roof. Okay, so there's a lot of debate on which is healthier to grow up in, a joint family or a nuclear family. So we're gonna get into that in just a second. But many cultures and countries around the world have an extended or joint family system, such as India, China, many African cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, and in some parts of Mexico. The nuclear family dates back to the 1920s, but by the 1950s, the American nuclear family, 2 kids, working dad, mom at home, had become a global aspiration. It became the standard to emulate around the world. Okay, so now you know what the nuclear family is and you know how it started. Before moving forward, we have to discuss what is a more ideal living style. There is a lot of advantages and disadvantages of both family living styles, but one thing is very clear. The role of the mother and the father involved in raising the child that they brought into this world is important and plays a vital role in a child's life. It's clear that a child raised without a father figure in the household has an effect on both a son or a daughter, as well as a child raised without a mother figure in the household. And I have to touch on this because it seems that the extended family argument is used consistently in debating against the nuclear family.
Of course there's exceptions, but a nuclear family should try to be preserved and protected, right?
Post-industrialization, it happens here. It's very different. In Africa, for example, living with your grandparents, living with your aunties, living in a common union, in a compound, sharing resources is very normal. And
that's what I'm arguing for, is a restoration of the nuclear family.
No, that's not extended. That's extended. It's very different. That's
right, they could work symbiotically, but you can't have extended without nuclear.
Would you admit that the extended family and the nuclear family are two different things?
Without a doubt, but you can't have extended without nuclear.
No, the nuclear family is a family of two parents.
So you don't believe that's an ideal?
Mom, dad, brother, and a child, like and a son. That's not 2.4.
You don't believe it's an ideal?
And at the end of the day, I think that family is important. And the fact that a mother figure and a father figure is essential to not only the child, but society as a whole. Trying to knock the nuclear family model with every disadvantage you can think of only shows that there is no perfect system. It doesn't claim that we would benefit by removing the nuclear family model from existence. Because, look around.
The country's poverty rate last year has seen the largest ever jump in a single year.
The West has gone further into poverty, higher suicide rates, higher use of drug usage, as the nuclear family has been deteriorating. So why it kind of sucks to be in your 20s right now in this day and age is because it's working. The nuclear family is successfully being destroyed. And that's why I titled this video, The War on the Nuclear Family. If your eyes have been open, then you know already that the music industry and Hollywood has direct involvement with our government because they know that what we listen to, what we watch, and how many times we hear the same thing over and over and over again has an immense impact on the choices you will make. Kind of like that video where we can see all the news reporters saying the exact same thing.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
They make you think that you want to be a boss babe, yet that's not the case. You want to be a boss babe because they told you that you want to be a boss babe. And I'm gonna stop saying boss babe. And you feel you don't need a man because they told you that you don't need no man. And our children growing up in our world today aren't sure if they were born a boy or a girl because they have been told that they could possibly have been born in the wrong body. And they did all of this because their goal was to destroy the family unit. To destroy the importance of mothers, they've made it undesirable to bring life into this world. They made abortion common, easy, and accessible, as well as praiseworthy and liberating. They convinced women that raising your kids at home is a miserable time spent with your short life here on this earth. Climbing the business ladder is the true meaning of life. Instead, let the government raise up all your kids for 8 hours a day, and then you can have them for 2 to 3. We will pick them up on school buses and bring them to a place where the teachers we have selected will be involved in shaping their minds. Our kids spend more time with teachers than they do us. us. These teachers, which are who exactly? There was a study done where they monitored kindergarten through 12th grade English teachers and found that where 97 of them gave to the Democratic Party, only 3 were Republican. Health teachers, 99-1. Math and science, 87-13. It is clear what is on the menu when you send your kid to a public school here in America.
When all of you tried to indoctrinate the children by sending them to a drag show. Do you remember that, Jody? Yeah. Do you remember when you invited little 5-year-olds to a drag show? Do you know what Encinitas Union School District is known for across the world? Grooming children. Can you believe that? That's what you're famous for.
And then we send our children off to universities where for every conservative professor, there is 12 liberal professors. Another way they attack the family is by fatherhood. By making men feminine and women masculine. They weaken the father in the family unit because without a strong father figure, the family is weak. Women have been trained to degrade men and the important role men play in society. I don't know if you've ever seen this video of this pedophile who explains how he is able to find children to abuse. Take a look.
Were there certain characteristics that you looked for in children before molesting them?
In children, yes, but more I also looked at their families. If I thought the father was a threat, I would not approach the child.
If the father was a threat, I would not approach. Interesting. Fathers were also replaced by welfare. Women were convinced, I don't need to get married. What's the point of getting married? It didn't take long for the government to realize that they benefit way more not when women are married to men, but when women marry the government. Women kicked fathers to the curb because of a hatred towards men, yet ended up becoming married to a bunch of men. It's called the government, and you put a ring on it when you choose to live and stay living off of welfare. You think it's free living, but it's not, because if you have a dad like me, then you know that nothing is for free, especially when it's from the government. There is always a price to pay. And in an increasingly selfish world that is drawing further and further away from God, we've become self-centered, self-regarding, self-seeking, and self-serving. Marriage has now taken on a new meaning because of it. It is now primarily about adult fulfillment. Marriage is no longer primarily about childbearing and raising up the next generation. Now it's about what can this do for me? More than ever, parents are entering marriage with zero interest of having children. I see so many people afraid to bring children into this world, yet it's the product of what they've been feeding us. One way they accomplished this was bringing in a television screen to show children in school videos of women giving birth. Researching that deeper, I was greeted with how that reshaped people's plans in life to never have kids. They did show us one, in fact, in like 6th grade maybe. It was horrifying and just cemented my never wanting kids. How someone could willingly do that to themselves is beyond me. The moment I saw the scissors come out and heard a snip snip in our health class video, I knew that I'd never have kids. And I don't blame them for feeling this way because a child in 6th grade should not be seeing a woman give birth. That is horrifying. And what do you know? Then came birth control, but you get it. So what's the solution? Well, the solution to everything is always in the same place. It's asking for you to read it. This book right here tells you what works and what doesn't work and saves you a lot of time, heartbreak, and confusion, because that's what this world is really feeding you. Confusion. God, on the other hand, is not the author of confusion, but of peace. And this agenda hates God. That's why it stands in opposition of everything God's word says. When God created man, he quickly noticed that it wasn't good for man to be alone. So he created a helper suitable for him. God describes women with this word, Ezer. And although culture will tell you that the Bible paints a picture that women are less than men, that is not the case at all. We are all created in God's image, and he actually uses this word Ezer to describe women as well as himself. The woman is an Ezer, and so is God. This doesn't paint a picture that women are less important than men, but that the order that God designed family to flourish with is with the husbands and fathers as the head of the home and the patriarch of their families. Adam and Eve were created for a certain purpose. God had told them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over every living thing that moves on the earth. Procreation then is not added to the marriage merely voluntarily, but is rather one of the original purposes for the marriage. The agenda that that is being pushed is to limit procreation. That's why they encourage men to be with men and women to be with women. The Bible says a lot more on family, but I don't want to make this video too long in fear of just overloading you with too much information. I want you to be able to take the blinders off because we are in a war for our families. This is a spiritual war that we are faced with. It's a war where we must fight for our families among people that don't realize that they are on the team that's destroying us. Stand in truth, stand in faith, and I will see you for the next one. And if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe.